What's up, everybody? My name is BX, aka Brand. This is episode 51 of the Anime Dojo. I'm alongside
Ooh,
Chris and
51.
Deon this evening. How y'all gentlemen doing?
Doing good, doing great.
Feeling old with that 51.
Hey, we're as one of the podcasts I follow, we're on the road to 100 now at this point, so we'll be getting there soon. But little steps along the way. But let's agree on some stuff tonight. We're going to talk about soul leveling. Kind of interesting thing with soul leveling, they put out all the likes for all the episodes. Over a lot of the episodes got really high likes on Crunchyroll. We're talking about a few of them that kind of didn't get high likes, and it's going to be kind of interesting the episodes we talk about because one, all of us thought was really good, and then a lot of people didn't like, and then there's one that a lot of people didn't know. The one that people loved, but ending up it was because of something else entirely. So we'll get into that. We're also going to be talking about a weird kind of story where we um, that Chris put in our chat before we got on this evening, kind of talking about wages for animators and anime staff, and this was from comicbook.com, and they put out this story based talking about they did a survey of all these anime staff and what they would make, and it averaged out to be about not even minimum, close to minimum wage, about $7. And it's kind of interesting because we kind of talked about what animation. We've talked about in the podcast before what animation goes into and what a whole, all that intricacies. But I think for us now, looking at this, what do we think about what's really going on with this survey, and what do you think the survey kind of tells you what should happen in the next couple of years with anime and the anime staffing industry? But then the last thing we'll go through story wise is gonna be something else kind of interesting. We kind of got some information about MASH, and this was the last one because MASH ended off this winter season on a kind of a low note, but MASH and sales increased 10 times due to the viral opening. We'll talk about that, and I'm gonna say this now. If that's the case, we're gonna see something that I think we will see something happen with MASH. I think you won't see again for a long time. But let's start off with this. We'll start off with the soul leveling stuff. So soul leveling, Otaku News talked about that soul leveling had very good ratings, and this was using Crunchyroll's likes and dislikes system. So 9 out of 13 episodes got over 100,000 likes. So that was, we see here, episode 1, episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 7, and 12. Yep. I'm gonna start off with Chris for this. What do you think about the fact that Soul 11 got all these episodes with so many likes on it, but yet the one thing that people talked about Soul Leveling was the fact that all they wanted to see was the fights.
I will tell these people, go get some culture. Like, really, like, if all you want to go see is a fight, then you should be watching UFC. Let's just be honest. Like, like if you want to see a fight, go watch UFC. If you want story and to mix in with your action so you can understand and be invested into it, then yeah, get into it. But if you did just for this fight, bro, then you kind of wasting your time. Like, honestly, that's like, cause think about it, man. It's a show. It's entertainment. It's so if you're gonna critique every little bit just because and based off of your feelings on that day or how that episode or how it could be better, then dude, go write your own show.
Facts.
yeah. Dion, what did you think about this interesting thing? 9 of 13 episodes, got over 100,000 likes. The only exception to that was the recap episode, which was clearly marked as a recap episode, by the way, which a lot of people did not know that. So that's on them for that. The other one that is not on this list is 8 and
10.
8, 9, 10.
Mm, That's a
Yes.
shame.
Yeah.
That's
That
a
was
shame.
really for.
I understand 8. I even said I think 8 should have been before the break. So I do understand 8. 9 and 10, however, you guys, you guys suck.
Thank you.
I try not to be too rude to viewers of anime because it's already a downward spiral once you get to be an adult and you're still watching cartoons, right? No, but
Mhm.
you have to understand one thing about people, and that's they will champion what they like no matter what. And if they find one flaw in something, they will downgrade it like it was the worst thing ever. They will downplay it like they talked about your mama. It is so funny how people will sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I only wanted the fights." 90% of this season was dialogue and plot building. Yes, the fights were good. Don't get me wrong, but they start off semi weak and build to better fights towards the end of the season. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this list, you can't tell me you've only wanted the fights because you only get fights in 2 out of 3 of those, 2 out of 4 of those episodes.
Yeah, you only get fights in 6 and
Of course, you
1.
get that 1, 2 episode. I guess you can call it
Yeah,
a fight.
yeah. So you get 1, 2, and then 6. Yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah.
That'd be right.
So
It's but it's also funny you mentioned something there, Dion. That's interesting. The first 4 episodes of the show is dialogue heavy,
yeah,
and technically it's funny because, and I love talking to one of my coworkers at work about this because he's an anime fan himself. He started watching and he said it's kind of slow, but I'm getting into it. It takes time. I told him it takes time. It takes you ain't gonna get it right off the bat because they don't want you to. They're not gonna rush you into that story. They're gonna give you everything you need first, and then build the story in. And ultimately, without the story, the fight for the story for the fight in 6 doesn't make sense without the story. The fight for I think the 11, is 11 the Eagles fight. Yes,
yeah.
11's the Eagles fight. Without that, you don't. Before that, you need the story to make sense there.
You need 8,
Same
9, and 10.
and to make so basically, if you just went on the fights alone, you would only really be talking about 2, 6, 11.
Yeah.
If I'm being really honest, and I hope we don't lose viewers, but if all you're in is for a fight and you don't care who's fighting or why they're fighting, it doesn't really make you better than a typical animal.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, you're right. Here's
See,
the other thing, but here's the other point of that coin. Ninja Curing. Ninja Curing is all
God.
fights,
Yeah.
and yet it stayed in the top 20 for most of the anime season. We're at 20. Didn't go higher than 20. I think 6. I think
And
it went
even
like
that still had a moderate amount of dialogue.
it did. It hopefully did.
Yeah.
Dion, I'm
And
sorry to
it's
cut you
gotten
off.
better. No,
Continue.
that's fine because Ninja Kurama got better with dialogue as the season progressed versus when it first started off and it was just all bloodbaths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
um, the thing about it, what I related to is, do you like Naruto or Dragon Ball Z? Like, are you a big three fan or are you a Dragon Ball Z fan?
Hmm,
Like,
hmm.
Dragon Ball Z, it's nothing but fighting.
Yes, it is.
You know, every episode there's either a workout montage or a fight or some type of something going on. Whereas you get the big three, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, you can go 3, 4 episodes without a single battle.
Wait,
Without
wait, wait. Hold up, though. Hold up.
uh,
Because you and I both know if you go and watch the original Dragon Ball Z series, they will have, they will be in the middle of a fight and be having the same fight for the 3 episodes with
yeah,
all kinds of dialogue.
yeah, but it's still during a fight.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's during. Like
That's what I'm saying. Like if you want something that's all fight heavy, then you're probably grew up on Dragon Ball Z. You're probably a Dragon Ball Z fan. Versus something like Naruto, where they can spend the opposite 3, 4 episodes eating a bowl of ramen, talking in a shop with the with Pervy Sage or something. And I know that's a jump, but you could sit there for 5 episodes and not have one mention of a fight versus Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
I
gonna
see where
bring
you
this. I'm gonna bring this up because we yesterday we did watch a couple anime from this new season, and we're getting into the next stuff, season episode twos and episode one stuff that we were getting into. But and I'm gonna only bring this up because Dion mentioned to us we yesterday we were watching the show, God's Game We Play, it, and he couldn't get through the first episode because it was kind of slow. But here's the thing: we watched episode two yesterday, and I remember you said, Dion, you liked episode two a lot better. Here's the
Yeah.
thing about God's Game We Play: it is basically a a version of like if you did board games but in real life, or if you did like these type of board games but in real life but using those strategies. And
Wait a
yet,
minute, Brandon. You gave the most perfect analogy, bro. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Is it Jumanji?
yeah, basically
Bro, because
that.
think about it. How many people go into a game and start playing and don't read the rules?
Oh my goodness.
Correct.
And then be saying, "Oh, you cheating, bro." Nah, I just read the rules.
So the reason
Or
I
you
bring
go in knowing the baseline rules, and then you
correct.
get in with experienced players. Chris, D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yep.
wow,
D&D.
wow,
Yep.
wow.
Hey,
Okay,
whatever.
Which was my fault.
that,
That was my fault. I'll take the blame for that shot.
that's fine. I don't mind it.
Sure. Ain't nothing
It's
wrong with
just a
that.
kind of good one.
Now,
But
now
it,
look, now, let's tell the audience. I'm gonna tell the audience. Like well, we went to Deon's house to play D&D. It was my first time. I did not know, bro. I did not know a werewolf from a zebra, bro. I did not know. And it's and here it is. He had to sit and explain it to me. But it wasn't until I went to the anime tournament with you, Brandon, and I saw them playing D&D. And I was like, oh,
yep,
that's how it's supposed to be played.
correct, correct.
Okay, now in my defense, I set up a game that was a rule teaching game, right? It was a quick one shot rule teaching game. We did not leave the first tavern. There was no room to teach the game. This
Because we
they
didn't know. We thought it might be something at the tavern, bro.
Yeah.
they did not follow the story, which is fine. And we never got to, revisit and keep going and actually
Mhm.
push through it. But yeah, let's just say there was a lot of maidens slain and a lot of drinks drank in a tavern for a long time.
And yeah, you're not wrong. You can stay in the
But,
same place for a long time in D&D.
as,
That is
but
actually
as a
that's actually
game master, why would you lead somebody into a bar knowing they're going to make their characters drink?
yeah.
Because it was
It's
hilarious.
just funny. It's
It
just funny.
was.
The the reason why I bring up God's Game We Play is because the one thing Dion said after we watched episode two, he liked it better because they explained what was going on and they showed us a version of what they're going to be doing in the rest of the series. But ultimately, the beginning episode is a story episode to get you to that point. And and the only thing they do in that episode that actually only changes a little bit of the story is they're playing a card game. And it's a simple card game. It's a very simple card game. People play to this day. Is like pick two pairs, and if you find the two pairs, you can continue playing. But she changed the rules, say pick two pairs, and then the next person goes. But as we're picking the two pairs, we're going to ask questions about ourselves. So if you find a pair, you can ask me where I'm from or something like that. So they kind of give you a small premise of what she's about. And then our main character knows a lot about games, a lot about this stuff, and it just builds into that. The thing is, without that story stuff, you don't have you don't have the understanding of what's going to happen in episode 2. So if you just watch episode 2 without the context, you're like, oh, that's a cool kind of that's cool. They're just fighting a giant golem looking thing. Why? But it's awesome. Without the why, the awesomeness doesn't make sense. And I think that's the thing with solo leveling. I kind of always wrap my brain around. Without the story stuff, you don't get the context of David's fight. You don't get the context of the fight when they fought the dude's brother and his gang, and just pretty much wipe them out. Like, it's sad to me because I think that's where we're gonna have a problem with the next couple years of anime. Story is gonna be overwritten by action and cool set pieces, which is ultimately not something I don't want to see in TV and film. I hope I'm wrong, but am I off base, gentlemen? Is that kind of what they're doing, trying to say? Like, people just want to see action, cool things happen, and forego everything else?
Well, if you ask me, that's people with short attention spans.
But MASH does so many crazy things. That short attention span thing that wouldn't even work for MASH.
See,
Like,
for me, the people who do not like solo leveling are the people who actually really really like the live action One Piece.
No comment.
Well, you said drama animes, right?
No,
like
he said
the
One
live
Piece.
action One Piece.
Oh, okay. But see, in my case, I do like that, but also I can see why you would say that too, because there's reason behind that. I can see because you're a fan of the original One Piece, so I get that, and I think that's the problem. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing we're getting at. It's that you water things down for a new generation, and we're not going to get into this. We're not getting into this conversation because we've gotten this conversation before, but I'll leave it at that. Go ahead.
Let me say this then. There are some rules that need to be added. For instance, we cannot have the same lack of rules for horror movies that we do for the newer horror movies. Why? Because with the way technology is, you would probably give people a heart attack in the theater.
do it though.
Well,
Do
why?
it. Why not?
Because people have had heart attacks in the theater watching scary movies.
Could you imagine Pet Cemetery in like virtual reality 3D?
No, I don't understand.
What?
I'm thinking of
What?
I think of Pennywise at
No.
that point. I don't want to see Pennywise. No,
Could you?
no.
What?
But I can imagine it. I can see it happen, Deon. I could. But I think that's the
Eventually,
thing.
yeah, that would be a
Man.
thrill. Bro, if they did that,
Why
they
do
would
people
put
ride
really
roller
scary
coasters?
films. They like a thrill.
Why?
The
Why
thrill.
exactly? So
They
why
do.
would you build something that takes the thrill out of it?
But I think that's the difference with shows nowadays. And that's something I think we get to. Shows are built to now have thrills and hype behind them, or just things that are going to make you want to keep watching. The problem is, and I hate to bring this up, good example of this, MASH. MASH did at the end of their season where they kept you hyped for a lot of funny moments and things. None of them hit. None of them were supposed to hit. They're not going to terribly do well at all. But
MASH
in
was
the end,
horrible from beginning to end.
they try to do a
But I get what you're saying.
they
Yeah,
try
but
to
when
do
you
a
compare it
serious
to a
thing.
show,
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I was gonna say, but when you take a show like, let's say like Assassination Classroom,
Mm.
if you can't sit down long enough to understand what's going on, then the whole show was lost to you.
Yeah, Assassination Classroom has like 20% action in it.
Correct.
Exactly.
Look at a copy got killed. A copy got killed has good amount of action, but the action leads to story stuff. Without the story stuff, half the action doesn't make much sense. Like,
Exactly.
Even stuff like that has good action has to have decent dialogue. Like you were saying about Dragon Ball Z, you'd be in the same fight for 3, 4 episodes because of the
Mm-hmm.
dialogue that's inside of that fight. You want to understand why people are doing what
Fighting.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, why is he hitting this man?
Yes. Yes.
But that goes back to what Brandon was saying.
Yeah.
I think the thing is with Solo Leveling, and we're all fans. Chris became a fan. Me and Deon were fans before the anime even came out because we both read them. He read the webtoon. I read the manhwa or listened to the manhwa. Ultimately, with Solo Leveling, they're gonna keep doing the same thing they're doing: give you story stuff and then give you cool fights. Ultimately, we are gonna get to a point, and Chris mentioned it, Deon mentioned it. We're getting to a point where once there's not much story left to tell, it's gonna be a bunch of fights, which is fine, but there's still going to be snippets of story within those fights anyway. So if you just want to see him just beat up on demons or beat up on monsters or just do other things, cool. But why is he doing it? What's the purpose? And what gives him to that? Gets him to be better.
Right. Right.
Like
Exactly.
that's the only thing. That's the thing we're getting at here. And here's the thing: it is on you for the recap. I'll say this. I'll say it again. It's on people for the recap episode because they did clearly say recap episode. But the other 3 episodes people didn't like, 8, 9, and 10 are all built into the Icarus fight. Build you to the Icarus fight. So without that, the Icarus fight is just a giant fight with no context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially episode 9 and 10.
9 and 10 will
Episode
give you.
episode 8. Like I said, I understand that not being one of the best episodes. 'Cause like I said, I do feel like they should have done that one and then went on break and then came in with 9 because of
Mhm.
the way the story was. But with the mash and all the studio
Yeah.
stuff, I get it. Um, but 9 and 10 is definitely detrimental to 11 and 12.
Yes. So let's roll into this. We're gonna roll into the other thing from Otaku News. Mass surpassing 10 times. They basically they surpassed or the manga's sales increased by 10 times due to the viral opening. I'm gonna say this right now, and I think this is gonna be kind of sad to say. We are definitely getting 2 more seasons of MASH, if that's the case. And Dion, I'm gonna ask you this first. Are you surprised by the fact that manga sales went up because of our opening? And do you think this is going to help the manga? Do you think this helped the anime down the road?
No, I'm not surprised. And yes, it will. No, I'm not surprised because one thing, the song had MASH everywhere.
It did. It did.
Everywhere. I have an Instagram page that has most of my music stuff on there. So it has nothing to do with anime or anything like that. And it was trending on my music page. And I'm like, what is this? Then you guys are sending me stuff that I hadn't even seen before on anime or my music page or on TikTok because my TikTok is mostly anime stuff. But what that does is it says, what is this? Where do I find it? How do I get my hands on this? I need to learn more about whatever this anime is or this manga is that's got so much buzz around it. And so now people are going out, they're buying the manga, they're reading the manga, and the first season of the manga is really good. The first season of the anime is really good. So you get people hooked and you trick them into thinking that the second season is going to be worth something because the soundtrack is worth something. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's garbage. Don't fall for the trick.
If only you could sue for a misleading opening.
Man, what? That's false advertising.
Exactly.
Misleading opening. That's funny.
Now, will it help the manga in the future if they have not
Possibly.
made it to season 2
Okay.
yet?
Okay. Okay. Chris, what do you think about this? You kind of
So
agree with
man,
Deon?
I do, and it's not that it's a hard thing to decide because I mean I'm not surprised because the first season did well and the opening if it gets so much hype then yeah there was enough money generated for them to do a season three. I'm not maybe a little bit more surprised about a season four because I don't know if they can stretch that story that much, but you know. But as far as that goes, man, they got to bring back the hype around it. They got to make it make sense
Okay.
because this wasn't it. Season two
Okay.
wasn't it.
I will say this: they did say in the talking news article it is from digital sales, which doesn't surprise me either because digital is a lot easier way to get manga. You can find on like there's so many different sites you can do that for. I ultimately think, yeah, this is going to help season three. This will also end up helping if it is a season four going to be made because I think a lot of people will be like, I want to see the end of this. But I will agree with both of y'all. The season two wasn't as great as season one, and season one's like Deon said, great, really good. Um, it, I think it's just kind of like ulti- ultimately, I think the thing with MASH is they tried to tell a serious story at the end, and that serious story doesn't hit very well. And now if the story goes through season three and they kind of bring back the comedy, I think it'd be cool. But I don't know if that's gonna really help it out as much as they hope. And
No.
Deon's shaking his head. If you're looking at camera, Deon's shaking his head, so it's like an answer that question. No. But
No.
yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments because I'm not surprised that song hit once again. I'll remind people that song hit 60 million views at one point. There were so many TikToks and Instagram posts of people doing the dance. Like I
Bling,
can see
bang, bang, boom, baby.
I can see why people went to go after the manga because it just made people think, okay, this must be a banger if that's the case.
I blame TikTok.
Ding ding.
Why do
I
you blame
blame TikTok.
TikTok?
Well, because now we're in this culture of 10-second songs
Oh yeah, that's
and
well.
viral dances. That has a part, not even a full song is what's the good part. It's literally the little bling bang bang bling bam bam bling bam bam boom part, and then you get hooked on that, and now you want to hear the full song
Correct.
and do the dance. Like everybody wants to do the little viral dance, and that's TikTok's fault.
Uh, but also at that case too, you still have a bunch of flash mobs too. You had flash mobs across Japan and across I think the United States too that were just doing the dance randomly together. So it didn't
To post it on
uh,
TikTok.
post on TikTok. So it ended up you saw the first like 2 minutes of the song. Listen to the first minute song, you're like, okay, this must be good. We're on the rest of it, and the rest of it's okay, not great, but you never know. Hey, I will say now if it come back if Mash come back and it's a banger, I'm fine. I think that will help the sell even more. If it come back and it's bad, people are gonna stop watching. So
If it comes back and it's good, we won't know until season 4.
correct. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Now, as a side note, I hope y'all listen to that opener in English because it went just as I think it went harder in English.
It goes harder in English.
It does go harder in
Yes.
English.
It
It does
goes
go
hard.
harder in
Even
English.
the Japanese version has like English subtext,
Subtext
but
to it. Yeah.
it goes harder in
Yes,
English. It is a trap song in English.
But
yes,
but you forget who made it. It was Apex from America. So they basically found the people that can rap, found yeah, that's not surprising. What they knew what they were doing.
Some Bay Area Cali guys
Yeah.
got together and made a song.
like
Um
somebody put Eminem on there for me. I just want to hear Eminem on it, like for real,
Eminem doing that whole big
bro.
yeah.
Eminem was smashed that song,
That'd
bro.
be funny. That would just be fun. Um so let's get into this. We'll talk about this real quick. Kind of, we're not going to do a full on thing for it, but I do want to mention it. The article Chris mentioned about the minimum wage stuff. So basically, this article was done by comicbook.com, and they kind of asked a lot of people in the anime staffing community across America and other places about what they get paid for doing these jobs across like animation, storyboarding, all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of surprising the ending results closer to minimum wage. I'm gonna start off with Chris for this. Chris, do you think that kind of tells you that being an animator, being in anime in general, doing making these shows is kind of not rewarding as much as it used to be?
Well, I was doing a lot of research, and then me and my dad started talking. But the thing about it is that, and Deon made a good point, is that the minimum wage is there for a reason. Now, if their
It
minimum
is
wage is $6 and they're making 7, that doesn't seem like a lot to the American people.
correct.
Because I myself, especially when they had all that mopping stuff going on, and I was only getting paid $7 an hour, where you got me all the way messed up, like all the way messed up. But when you think about it, is that well, okay, they go down there and their food isn't as expensive as ours. Their rent isn't as expensive. They have a little bit less taxes, and so it's like, and then I'm thinking about it as a company wise, you have more people doing more smarter stuff. So it balances out to a degree. But I'm thinking like I don't know this for sure, but what if the place they live at or the place they were doing these studios were in a place like California, where the market is incredibly stupid no matter how you look at it. See, that's where it gets to be unfair. So there is definitely some research to be done about that. Especially before we get too angry and start pointing fingers.
That's true. That is very true. Dion, you did put a thing in our text group that was actually really well thought out. Elaborate on what you put in our text group. Do you kind of see where Chris is talking about, and you kind of think the same way, or is there a little bit different of that opinion?
Yeah, so I did a little research in moving to Japan not too long ago. And my research came out to the point that they pay roughly around the same amount of taxes that we do per dollar per capita, right? Which is I think it's like 36% or something like that, but we pay like 37%. Um
Mm-hmm.
the difference is their rent is 66% lower than ours on average.
Correct.
Their cost of living is about, I'm gonna say 30. I know it's over that, but I'll just say 30% lower than ours, which means that their electricity bills are lower than ours, their food bills are lower than ours, their going to the store, the groceries and stuff like that, that's all lower than ours. Here's where I'm like, I'm not too concerned about that because our minimum wage here in America, outside of Cali, whose freaking cost of living is 2.7 times higher than the average American's cost of living, it's only $7.50. So for them to be making pretty much 50 cent lower than our minimum wage, but they have 66% lower than what we actually have to pay here, it just, to me, it becomes a personal choice.
Yep, there it
And
is.
I'm looking at that list, and they're like, it's less than half of the people that work for these companies making minimum wage, basically, or
Yeah.
in their standards, it's still more than minimum wage. But you have to say, well, where else can I make this type of money at? And is this job worth it? No one's forcing you to work for these companies. In America, we're not going to stand for it unless we absolutely have to. So it becomes, well, yeah, they may make $7, but why are they still working a job where they make $7? Because it must be okay. You know,
And it's always the thing about it's a thing here in America. I know more than anywhere else, but they always talk about do you want to make good money or do you want to do something you love? Do you want to work a job you love to do? And it's funny to me because it's always the first one's a lot of people's thinking and not the second. But ultimately, if you love doing something, the money's not going to be an issue for the most part because you're
It
going to get.
is. It is if you ain't got nothing to eat in your stomach, though.
That's true, but I think the thing is, if you love doing something and you're talented at that job, that's where it comes in at. And I think that's the other side of the anime world a little bit differently than other industries. Because I'll say this right now, and I'll put my hands up. Broadcasting's that way. Broadcasting is you'd love to be a broadcaster, but broadcasting is considered one of the lowest paying, not lowest paying jobs, but it's considered a leisure or luxury leisure job because of, well, you have to get experience doing it. It takes a long time to get in the business. Once you do get in the business, you still are learning things about the business, but at the same time, you have to be on your, be on your game, be all that kind of stuff. And it's not really always rewarding. You work at a great team and all that, but ultimately, it's one of those things where you're going to be making about average $50,000 a year. But if you really want to do like high end stuff like ESPN, CNN, if you do really well, you're gonna make almost close to 100,000 or more. It's
Let me ask you this question, Brandon,
yeah.
because
Go
I
ahead.
know you have a broadcasting background. Um, Knowing that you can make $50,000 a year working for someone broadcasting, or you can make $47,000 a year working for yourself doing the same thing, what would you choose?
The second,
Working for yourself, right?
correct.
So for these guys, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
Oh no,
but
no. I knew
I
where you
just
were.
wanted to.
I knew where you were about to head. So go right ahead. I get it.
These guys who work for a company like MAPA, they either have no other choice.
Correct.
By that, I mean they're probably not the best in their field. They're probably not putting in the hours to be the best animators they can be, or whatever. And, you know, they may be, and they just don't have the know how to do something on their own. But the way the world works right now, today, is if you don't like something, you can change it.
Correct.
And this goes for Japan, this goes for India, this goes for Afghanistan. I don't care where you are in the world. I mean, there are people literally fighting wars right now because they don't like the way something is. So if you don't like the way something is, change it. We're hearing a lot of hearsay from a bunch of people, not too much from the actual people
Correct. That's the
in
other
these
part about it.
situations.
That's the other
Because
part about it. I was kind of confused. Chris found. Hey, I'm giving Chris credit. He did find something interesting because we've seen this before with the MAPA stuff. But I
Hmm.
thought it was interesting because they did this survey of American people, I think, about this, and it was kind of like you're you're doing the thing that I don't always appreciate because it's like how you gonna expect somebody to know somebody else's culture if you don't understand what's going with the culture itself, so you're just taking a guess. But
yep,
I think the other problem with this was something I always kind of thought about too. Ultimately, and Deon, you brought it up. You brought it up greatly. If it was us in that situation here in America, you'd be fighting for it. There'd be like things on the ballot for voting. There'd be all this stuff you could technically do to change that situation. What Cali is doing right now. Cali had to raise their minimum wage to almost $50 an hour because of this cost of living, because of the fact that it's pretty much impossible to live in Cali with the money people make up
Yeah.
there. But also, that's why a lot of people from Cali and a lot of companies move their offices from Cali to Texas because you can get more stuff in Texas for that. Okay, money. But on top of it all, I think the other thing we have to remember is like, and like I brought up earlier, if you love what you do, you ain't gonna feel like you're gonna be working for money, working to gain higher standing, higher money, all that kind of stuff. But like you say with MAPA, if it's partially you're still learning or you're not good at that Yeah, you're getting better. Cool. It's gonna take some time to get to that point. I think the thing about this is though, and I think the thing that kind of just didn't when I read the full thing, I was kind of like, and we talk about this a lot in America, which is still a thing we don't do very well. I don't know if you've always heard the saying, and it's I don't know if you ever hear the saying around your place, and I hear it so I hear it more this year than last year. Work life balance.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: we're still trying to make that a thing to this now in like this year because it hasn't been a thing. But you know what forced that to be a thing? The pandemic.
Oh yeah.
You know why? Because everybody was like, okay, I need to make sure I can actually spend time with my family, go on vacation, do these things. A lot of people who were older retired after that happened. Why? Because they can relax.
Pandemic changed a lot.
And and that's the thing I always kind of and I don't know if that's the thing that people didn't get to figure out. We we change our stuff for the better usually if we know we can get a better thing.
So,
Over there,
hmm,
go ahead.
I'm not gonna say I completely agree with that because working for a conglomerate like the one that I do, as much as people like to believe the customer is always right, 60% of the time the customer is stupid. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Not even. I'll give you higher than 60.
Well, hey, I
I
was
give
trying to be nice. I
I'll
was
give you
trying to be
about
nice.
Yeah.
I would give you
No.
about 85.
Yeah.
About
Either
85.
they're just ignorant on what the law is, what the policies are, or they're trying to get over on them, which is
Exactly.
stupid. So
So, and being that way, it's like, and I mean, people who or our customers. I'm not gonna say which company or what I do, but the people that the customers that we have, if you think you're going to get away with a item that's more than $10,000, and you think we're not going to track you, you're dumb.
I I think this would go back. What this goes back to before we get to the charge and stuff. I think the big thing we've learned, like reading that article, I think the big thing we need to hear from, and I think we'll never get the full picture of it because it's never going to be that way. I would love to hear about from anime staffers from Japan,
didn't we get a
or
thing from, was it Oda?
we did get some. We got the
Yeah.
Oda thing. We got the Mappa thing after the whole Mappa situation happened. And it kind of explained, oh, the working conditions for Mappa weren't great. And yeah, people were working to the bone to get out episodes, which was terrible because they were trying to do episodes week by week and really, really didn't have time to finish an episode before they work on the next one. So then that's why we got a bunch of delays and things. And then they just wanted they wanted this movie quality level production for Mappa, but never really worked out that way because you can't make everything movie quality. That
I
was the other
think
thing
we
that
have I think we have problems when it's either a passionate company or a pushy company. Now, the pushy companies, those are the ones that just want to get the product out on time and no matter what, and they, you know,
Mhm.
break your nails. And then you also have the passionate company that has to get the product out on time because of their fans, or as a music person, if I'm an artist and I promised a CD or an album, I said the CD showing my age. If I promised an album by June 15th, and my fans are now clamoring for this album by June 15th, and come May 22nd, it's not ready. Guess what I'm doing until June 15th?
Crunching.
I'm crunching. I'm pushing myself to the bone. So if I have people that's working under me, guess what they're doing?
Crunching.
They're
Yep.
crunching. Now, if
Yep.
they're not as passionate about it as I am, they're gonna feel misused. But I'm sorry,
Okay.
I have a deadline.
So here is the article. I found another article on Anime News Network from one of the animators in Japan. He said he would regret quitting his job and moving from America to Japan because in America the average animator gets paid $36 an hour.
Well, that answers
Ooh.
your question about the what did happen in Cali, Chris.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. All right.
Okay. However, even he said when he first started in America, the average for the beginner was 32,000 a year. There's your difference right there. However,
Yeah.
and he says currently in Japan he grosses about 30 about 10,000 a year on a good year. Now he says they do get bonuses according to what how the anime does. So his bonuses may tap out to another $10,000. However, so you get a total of 20,000 a year. If and that's if.
If so, let's equate that $10,000 a year for somewhere like Japan versus would you say 32,000 a year
For
for
beginner
somewhere like
animator.
let's look at where our animated studios are in America.
Mhm.
We have California, we have New York,
In Texas.
And
and
Texas, a couple
Texas.
in Texas. Yeah.
But in
Mhm.
Texas, they're not the big guys. Hell, one of them
They
just shut
do
down.
they do more of your so Texas, when Funimation was here in Texas, they did more of your voice acting stuff. I think they did
Yeah,
more of that the translating to English as
but I
well.
Yes,
mean actual
Texas does.
animators.
Texas does have animators, but the studio in Texas isn't as big. You're right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not.
So your big ones are in Cali. I think there's one in Atlanta and New York. The most expensive places in the world to live, and they're only making $32,000 an hour or
Yeah.
$32,000 in a year
Yeah, no, you're not.
versus $10,000 a year in one of the most cheapest places to live.
Well, according to this graph,
That's a conglomerate of like modern society.
so either way you
Besides
look at
Bali.
it, if you're on the low end, you're both animators are still getting paid minimum wage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And however, the only difference is that the max in Japan is 90,000 a year, while in America it can be over $1 million a year.
And that's the difference between American society and a
In
Japan
Japanese,
society. Yeah.
yeah.
Because let's
Wait.
let's look at this $90,000 a year as a max in Japan. What? You're a millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
You're a
he,
millionaire.
but here's the funny thing. He said $1 million in America. Think about the fact to get to that level, you probably have done at least 10 to 15 years doing
You
it.
gotta be Oda. You
You got to be somebody.
you gotta,
Yes,
you gotta
No,
be
well,
on
it
that.
says the top animators in America are all at Disney.
that's the thing.
Oh yeah,
There
of
you go.
course.
There we go.
Yep,
Disney,
it is.
Pixar. I can go down DreamWorks. Those are the top three I can think of right in the back.
DreamWorks actually has some of the weakest animators in history.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Actually, according to this, they're saying the worst animators in the United States is actually PBS.
Yeah, but come
Oh,
on,
the
man.
public.
They
Oh
have
well, yeah.
they have
It's a public
Caillou.
channel. It's a public service channel. So
Yeah,
that's which doesn't. Okay, I get why they're not going to pay
they
that,
have
but see, it's a
Caillou,
public service.
bro.
It's a public service channel,
Yeah,
so
I
I'm not.
mean,
That's fair.
you gotta put it out there though.
That is fair.
They
But
literally have children drawing.
but to get to the point we're getting at, based on what you just told us, Chris, then like Deon said, somebody's making $9,000 in over in Japan feels like a millionaire, but a millionaire here would take to working for Disney or somebody like that. And that's where you're getting recruited. You've done some amazing work and you've got to that level. And the
And
funny
then you
thing
also
is,
have to look at my bad. Go ahead.
but that's the thing. You look at the fact of what they have done prior, what the
Yeah,
person has done prior, what is that? What have they done to get to that level? How much work did it take to get to that level?
yeah.
That's the scary thing, because a lot of that doesn't tell you about passion. It tells you about work ethic usually.
Well,
Your work
then if
ethic.
passion alone was going to give me more than what I make now, then brother, I'm the most passionate one there.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the other problem.
Yeah. But you also have to look at what you get for what you have. Look at $1 million in Texas. Chris, you've seen my house, right?
Yeah.
My house is $500,000. Am I a
Yeah.
millionaire? No.
Oh, yeah, not at all. Not at
Not at
all.
all. So imagine just having $1 million in America. It's nothing. It's nothing at all. $1 million in Japan, bro?
You
Like,
could live.
and
You
then
could
look
live.
at $1 million in somewhere like Mexico.
You could live pretty comfortable in Japan and not feel like you're overdoing your spending. So it's not
Okay.
like.
We all know that the value of the American dollar is a lot more profitable in other countries outside of the U.S.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Except
but
for in
so
Europe. It's actually worse.
well yeah, that's because Europe is well actually right now they're about the same. I don't know
About
if
the
you
same.
keep keeping up with that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. We're going there next week. It's
Well, I'm
worse.
glad you. Oh, well, that's
Oh yeah,
cool.
it is. Yeah.
we'll,
The
we'll
conversion
be
rate's
we'll be
worse.
there in a few days.
Yeah, the
It's
conversion rate is
worse.
worse.
It's like 2 to 1 right now.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
oh yeah,
I'm
that's not
broke.
great.
by the way, $90,000 or $90,000 is like the equivalent to what almost 10 billion yen. So yeah, they
Oh
they they
yeah,
banking.
yeah, they're banking 10 million
So
yen, good amount.
yeah, so but if I take a million US over there, well,
Yeah, no, you're not getting nowhere near close that you would, but it's not going to be as profitable for you.
exactly.
It's like buying food stamps.
To end the segment off, I think we need more information about what's going on, because I don't think
Yeah,
with everything we've seen, like with Chris, the 2 articles Chris found, things we've heard about Mappa from the inside, and all this other stuff, it doesn't really give you a clear picture of what an animator actually does, what the storyboard person does, what the people who actually do some of the voice acting stuff. It To make a show like you're making with certain animes, it take a team, and that team has to be some of the best in the world. And the funny thing, if you think about, I'm going to leave it at this. Think about the fact that we're getting Demon Slayer back in a couple at the end of May, at the beginning of May. Infotable is probably one of the best anime studios in Japan, and yet they've done it in such a simple way, and yet it hasn't been like they do it in a way where they keep costs down, but also they don't overwork their people, and it's not something for them. They try to do things within a way of staying within their company values. That's the ultimate thing we're getting out of this. It's where you work on the company, what they got company values. Like Deon said, if you're a passionate person about a project that you have to get done within a time period, you're going to get it done. But the people under you don't have the same passion or drive to get it done. They're not going to be passionate back to you. At the same point, if you work for a company who's willing to give you the time and place to finish a project, that's going to be more enticing than somebody trying to rush through a project and not and get it done, or get it done, but not get it done to its full extent and the right way to do it.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'll
I
say
agree
That's
with
this
that.
though, and
yeah.
I'll stop talking after this.
No, you're good.
But I did want to say you also have to look at the company and how long they've actually been a company.
Correct.
Like Mappa, yes, it's a big company,
It's also a newer
but
company.
it's also a newer company.
They've
So
been
they're
around.
still
Yeah.
getting their stuff together. They're still actually acquiring funds to be able to get their stuff together. So, you take that into consideration.
Yes, we should. Let me know what y'all think in the comments because I think this is gonna be a thing for the time period. We're gonna have this debate 5, 10 years down the road. It's gonna be a thing no matter what happens. And I think that's because where anime is headed, but also anime is getting to the point where most anime looks better than most movies sometimes. Most animes look
Well,
better than most cartoons, which is kind of scary.
but once we get there to Japan, we can probably ask around ourselves too.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go like talk to an actual person who's never been to America but works in the animation studio
Oh yeah, because you want
because
to
You
learn
might
those
you
are
about
the
might
it.
want to
people
have a
that you want to
translator.
hear from.
You
Yes.
might want to have a
I'm
translator.
sure I'll be fluent by then. You know.
No.
Yeah, maybe. But let's get into this before we get to Slime for tonight. We're gonna watch season 3 of Slime tonight. Reincarnated Slime. We all did a top 10 winter anime charts, our personal charts, and these charts were these are our picks of what we think a top 10 would be from the anime corner chart that we do every week. So I'll start off with Deon with this. Deon,
Oh, crud.
Yeah.
what would what was your top 3, and then give me your other like top 3, and then give me 9 and 10.
Put on my spectacles here and look at my list. My top 3. So solo leveling, right?
Mhm.
Um, because it was the biggest surprise for me. They actually did that really well. A1 did a really good job on that. Wrong way to use healing magic and
Okay.
apothecary diaries.
Okay.
My 9 and 10 could have gone anyway. I had a bunch of them flopping out for my 10 spot, but I ultimately went with Gucci is my 9 spot,
Okay.
and then Banished from the Hero Party is my 10 spot. Then they could flip either way. But
Okay.
an honorable mention to Shingoku.
Okay. Okay. Chris, what was your top 3, and then like I asked Dion, 9 and 10.
Top three. So my number one is actually going to have to be Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. I thought it
Okay.
was a little bit more well put together than Solo Leveling, only because it was a complete season without any kind of room to guess. Solo Leveling is number two, and Shangri-La Frontier is number three.
Mm.
Okay.
Now for 9 and 10, I don't even think like nothing in my brain really just because I don't think there was enough to even make my list if you want to be honest. But if I
Mm,
had to put something there just to have something there, it
Oh,
would
my bad.
be 10 would be Buchigiri and 9 would have to be Tales of Wedding Rings.
okay. Okay.
Tales of Water Rings is really good. I actually
Mm.
misspoke. I'm sorry, guys.
What's up?
My number 3 was an Apothecary Diaries. That's my number 4. I had it switched up. My number 3
Oh,
was Moonlit Fantasy.
okay. Yeah, I heard that
Okay,
one.
I
Yeah,
heard that was
that's
yeah, I heard that was
that's
pretty
pretty
good.
good. So for me, solo leveling, wrong way to use healing magic, and this top third is gonna be kind of weird for all of y'all when I say this, because you're my girls.
No, I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh, and here's the reason why. I'm not usually like I've told Chris before. I'm not into all the fans everything very often. Uh, usually, but I think the story they told her Mashing Gushing Magical Girls is very interesting. And it was between that and Chain Shoulder. But I think for me, I think Gushing Over Magic Girls is a more fun story, and it kind of gets that dynamic of villains versus heroes, and those villains and heroes are still good people, friends outside their personas. So it kind of has that. Okay, I see where all going.
Sailor Moon aspect.
Correct. That's the kind of the aspect we're getting, like Sailor Moon aspect of it.
More
For
like
mine,
pressing on Sailor Moon
Moon,
aspects.
pretty much. For mine 9 and 10, my 9 and 10, 9, I would have to put. I'm putting Mash there just because I think Mash did it well enough to stay at the top 10. I don't think it would be there if they didn't have a strong first season like that. But also, I think the second season was strong enough.
It wasn't on my list. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Not mine at all.
I figured it wasn't, but I had to put it. I put it at 9. I wasn't gonna put it. I had there, and then ultimately, thinking about it back, I put Metallic Rouge at 10, and that's only because
I had Metallic Rouge at 8. See,
the only reason I left it at 10 because I think for me it was still good. I think it wasn't better than other things I could see, like Shangri-La was on my list at like 6 or 7. I had Apothecary Diaries up there at like 4 or 5. Like there's other things in there I think were a little bit better, but ultimately, which with Wrong Way to Use Healing or with Metallic Rouge, Metallic Rouge just has a very good story and a very fun premise, and I love the fact that the English dub was so good. Like one of the best. Like one of the first time we've seen English adaptation. The English adaptation is actually just fun.
I had MASH at 29.
I kind of figured. Yep, Mash is low. Mash is super low on that list.
like I said, Mash just wasn't on my list. So
I only had 30.
I did up to. I think I did up to like 15, but I was gonna do up to more, but I was like, nope, I'll let it be. So we'll do the top 10 for Anime Corner real quick. Dangers of My Heart, season 1, season 2 is at 1. Fear and Beyond Journey's End is at 2. Ronda Christmas at 3. Apothecary Diaries at 4. Soul Leveling at 5. Classroom Elite at 6. Magic and Muscles at 7. Marrying My Worst Enemies at 8. A Side of Affection is at 9. District Dungeons at 10. Shangri-La at 11. Chain Toller at 12. Villain 1199 at 13. Moonlight Fantasies at 14. And Wrong Way to Healing Magic at 15. Other notables, Gushing Over Magic Girls at 17. Undead Unlucky is at 18. Ninja Currents 19. The Undead Adventures at 20. And then I'm just going to look through it just because I'm kind of interesting. Oh, wow. So Metallic Rouge at 38. Butchigiri at 39. So there's kind of where everything else landed. I'm kind of surprised Soul Leveling's not higher. But I also understand Dangers in My Heart and Fury Beyond Journey's End.
Yeah, I was going to say, outside of Ragnar Chrism, it's
5.
pretty much what they've been doing all season.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. MASH is at 7 because MASH. A lot of people like MASH, but people don't like that MASH that much to put it like in the top 5.
Delicious and Dungeon doesn't get enough credit.
Well, I think it should be higher than Villain Level 99.
It's because it's on Netflix.
It was number 4 on my list. It was number 4 on my list.
It didn't touch my list. Chris, can we go through our list 1 through 10 just real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Chris, I'm just curious.
So 4 is Delicious in Dungeons. 5 was Chain Soldier. 6 was Gushing Over Magical Girls. 7 was Ranga Chrism. I finally got through that. And 8 was Metallic Rouge.
So mine was 4 Shangri-La, 5 Chain Soldier, 6 is what was 6? Because I remember I did this other. Oh, 6 was Ronda Chrisman because I did finish Ronda Chrisman on my own. 7, 7 was Metal Rug, or not Metal Rug. 7 is Gushing About the Girls, and then 8 is kind of weird. 8 is one of those ones I didn't really have much there. The only one I did finish, I did Undead Unlucky, so that was on there.
Yeah. So I had Solo Leveling is 1, Wrong Way to Use Hella Magic, and then Moonlit Fantasy was my 3rd.
Yeah.
And then 4th, I won Apothecary Diary. 5th, Shangri-La. 6th was Crash Room of the Elite. 7th was Witch and Beast. 8 was Undead Unluck. And then 9 was Bushigiri. 10 was Banished from the Hero Party.
I think you know from all our picks, basically we have only one or two of us has a drama. So you have Apothecary Diaries, Chris has Delicious in Dungeon, and then I have do I even have a drama? I
Well,
don't think
see,
I have
Delicious and Drunkards is more of a slice of life.
Slice of Life, but like you know what I mean, Slice of Life, drama, romance, something of that nature. And we all had one of those three.
I
It was
have
kind of like
Apothecary and Banished. Banished is.
I put Apothecary. I had Apothecary up there too, which I had Apothecary around the 5-6 spot. Or that was my. That's actually the 7. I said that wrong. So that was my 7 because I was like, okay, it's good enough. So
Yeah, I like Apothecary Diaries.
it's gonna be interesting what this next season's gonna fill out with because I think a lot of the big stuff's gonna be hitting better across the board than the stuff from this past season.
Yeah, but we also have like the Bartender Show and
Yes, you have a lot of other stuff around the corner too.
the Train to the End of the World. Those are pretty cool. So
yeah, you have a lot of.
I just want an episode of Bartender. I want an episode of Bartender featuring T-Pain. Please.
Just have it playing
probably
like
can't be able to do
lowly
that.
and slowly
Yes.
in the
Low
background. Like,
Yes.
he's mixing a glass. I'm at the bartender.
But let's
I
get
can see that.
Reincarnated as Slime. This first episode of Reincarnated Slime picks back up pretty well.
Bro, yes. They
I
get
will-
right back into it.
I will say this: Reincarnated is kind of interesting. I don't think you need it, but ultimately, I think you need the context from the prior seasons to understand what's going on. Do you do like me and Chris did? We went through all the seasons back to back to back. Probably not. I think ultimately, if you watch season 3, or this will be season 4. Season 4 is currently going on. Season 3 of the prior season. If you watch season 3, that will give you a lot of context for things to see where they're heading now. But ultimately, it is it's fun. This episode does a really good job of really picking out things and talking about what we're going to see in the next couple of episodes, because a lot of other things will happen. But one thing you'll see from this episode, the dialogue and the way the characters are portrayed are very fun. So that'll be kind of the things you look out for.
This episode was a great way to see a new character. Well, not even a new character, but a character kind of flex his muscles for Rimuru for a little bit.
Correct. So in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
No. I'm sorry. It's
Still learning Xbox there?
I'm ready now. No, it was just loading slow for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's
some of my zeros.
All right, so this is Reincarnated Slime, episode 49. So they're continuing the stuff, and we'll start in 3, 2, 1, go. Season 3. Demons and Strategies. I will say one thing. For being demons, they're very classy.
Remember, it's just a title.
Yeah. It is kind of funny. They do call. They're not what we technically think is demons.
Yeah. It's a, like, class. Your high class is the demon class. That's awesome.
Mhm. Oh, that looked good. That's steak, right?
Yep.
I like how half the people at the table are his allies.
Right.
Wait, how do you know what alcohol is? Or how do you know what wine is?
No matter what country, age, era,
Culture.
world, culture,
Oh,
there's
okay.
gonna be some alcohol.
Well, it's funny
Yeah.
because
Wine is the
he says
easiest
grapes, and I'm
going
like,
away.
so they know the fermenting process, which is the funny part. I'm like, okay.
They probably learned on accident and just leave some stuff sitting and rotting and then just drink it like, oh, this is like meat was.
Oh man, I really do want to try some mead
Let's
made
go
out
to
of
Rain.
pure
Let's
honey.
go to Rain Fest.
I'm going to Renaissance, Scarborough Fair.
Yeah.
I will say this song is kind of fun. I like it.
Oh yeah, I'm totally blind right now.
Oh, this is a rock band. That's what this is. Okay, that's why when I first heard it, I'm like, that's what this. I like how they did it then.
By the way, Brandon, there was a 3 episode side story I
Hmm.
probably need to watch.
Oh, did you not watch the
First,
little side quest?
but there was like I know there was a side quest in the first season where he visits the students, but
Yeah,
apparently
this
there's
one
a
is he
secondary side
visits
quest.
the other kingdom.
Yeah, I think. Well, if it's not the movie, then I haven't seen it.
But it's
Yeah,
funny because
no,
like they said the diary episode, me and Chris kind of went through with a recap from the previous season, so it didn't really give us much
Yeah, but remember
yeah,
how I
no.
told you the other diary episodes were a part of it. So
part of it. So yeah, we.
This is more so something they released after all of that.
yeah,
Mm.
It's just
it
like
was like
a whole different story outside of everything, but it's canon.
right. So it was only 3 episodes, and I don't think I've seen it yet. It was something that they put out in the middle of COVID.
Oh, okay, okay.
Really
Oh yeah,
good, really well thought out, and you get to see some stuff that it's really creative, really cool to see Ramirez do.
matcha pudding.
They put matcha in anything now.
Yep, and I've still never tried any of it.
I I've always wanted to try the matcha Kit Kats they made that were Japan exclusive. That
Yeah.
came to America because I'll be interested to see how it actually worked. If it actually did work. Your face, like
No,
no.
they get Kit Kats with all this extra stuff in them, and I try them because my favorite candy bar is a Kit Kat. Yeah, I'm not impressed.
Oh, wait, no, but well, matcha is a hard flavor to actually like. Natural, normal matcha is actually probably better than just putting in things anyway.
Yeah, like I make. I don't make them. My spouse makes them, but matcha pancakes and like matcha tea and stuff like that. Like it's delicious.
What does matcha really taste like though?
Green.
Yeah, basically.
I got tricked into taking a wheatgrass shot one time.
No, it
Came right
doesn't
back.
taste like that. Like wheatgrass don't taste green. It tastes like
Grass.
dead grass. Yeah. Tastes like straw. Mm-hmm. Dora was trying to get out of work.
What was he about to
Nah,
tell them?
I was about to say I don't know, but I feel like we should make him eat some of Shion's cooking.
Oh my god.
Man, that
You
whole
trying to
thing
kill
now
him?
Nah, just scare him.
just
Because
scare
remember, it tastes good now. It just looks like absolute crap.
him.
Remember when it turned that lake monster?
Yep.
Yep,
Brandon, you still gotta see the movie, bro.
I know. It's on the.
I'm gonna watch it tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough. But it's funny. This is probably one of the first shows that's done it well, where you have to watch all the other material, season 1, 2, and 3. Plus,
Now
season,
this
this is
was
creepy.
tier. It doesn't get any worse than this.
Oh,
Mm.
what's he doing? Surgery?
He's re putting their bodies back together.
Why? Because he did it. Do they explain why he does it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot they had the king and the other guy in prisoner cell.
Probably. Right. There's someone this demon
Yep.
first.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you don't cross her. That's the last person you want to cross.
Yeah, he would even need to cross Gopta, okay?
Yeah, no. You're not crossing that either.
Yeah, don't cause gossip, bro. Especially now when he got his wolf mount.
Well, yeah, you're standing in front of a demon. What do you want? What do you want them to
While
do?
you, their king, is his whole body is in a box.
In a box of mangled. I don't. I
Bruh,
don't
like
blame. I don't. I don't blame him for that. Even the king's like, I'm gonna cooperate.
Mm. I mean, how can you not cooperate?
You're
Yeah.
literally like
You're
this
in
and
a yeah, disemboweled in a
defigured,
box.
yeah, in a box. Hmm.
Diablo definitely fits his demeanor.
Oh, his demeanor, absolutely. He's one of the best characters in the show.
Yes,
Mm,
one
I'll
of the
say
best characters.
he's one of the
In the world.
strongest characters on the show.
Have you seen this episode yet?
No,
Then I'm gonna shut up.
no, I go in blind for the first episode.
After this episode, yeah.
Wait, he shook his head at them, basically trying to say that this is what you're supposed to say.
Yep.
Oh, I get it now. He's playing there. He's been there. He's playing a pawn.
He wrote the script.
Yep.
Ooh.
he's getting seething more and more as this time goes on.
Yep.
He
Watch
is
seeing
not happy.
everybody else's expressions is what's so funny. Hey, bro, if you don't shut up.
Stop talking now, or I'll make you stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
And he's had enough. Yeah, you have no choice.
You better sell your nation stuff.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, I'll save your king, but here you can buy this nice potion from our kingdom.
Vassal state. I like that option. No, I like the third option.
Wait, the third option is war.
Exactly.
It's also fun.
They trying to avoid war because they know if they go to war they're gonna lose.
Rimuru not trying to avoid war. I want
This-
Team Rimuru.
Remu was ready to finish him out.
Well, no, but I think this nation is trying to avoid war because they know what they've
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah, they better be avoiding war. They're literally going up against demon lords. And the dragon.
Yeah, you're going against Valdora, a demon lord, and a couple other main players.
It's 3 demon lords.
Like, if you really think about it, Rimuru's army is enough.
Oh, by itself.
Rimuru is enough.
Rimuru is by himself enough. I'm just saying what the man can do.
Any one of his generals is enough.
It's enough. Exactly.
You
You
can
want to
send
be honest,
Valdora by itself.
Any other margin.
1 trillion. So he's hoping the middle one.
Mm-hmm.
Because the middle one saves both their hides. Paying an installment for 10 years. How many installments would that be in 10 years? Okay, that's a lot of money.
And then you tax the heck out of it. Yep. See, his character was a demon through and through.
Yeah, but I want to say he's just a very savvy businessman.
Yes, he is. He's savvy. He understands what he has to do to help Rimuru. By the way, out of everybody in this world, I love his outfit the most. Like he has the
Who?
most like uh Diablos. I
Oh
think he
yeah.
has
Oh,
the
the
most.
butler, the
He has
butler
that
outfit.
the butler outfit with the red chain just looks kind of interesting. I love that.
It just reminds me of Black Butler.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
Have the black butler vibe to it, but it works.
Yep.
I wonder who's winning a fight.
Ooh,
That's an interesting question.
ooh.
Hmm.
Diablo.
Probably.
Probably Diablo. Wait, I thought Dora said he doesn't need to eat food.
He doesn't need to eat it. He still likes
He
it.
just likes it. Okay. This this episode builds a lot of good things out of it, and I think it sets up to where we're gonna head next. We'll go through it, middle, beginning, and end, like we always do. But I will say this: I think this is the one of the few times where I'm just like, the characters in this, the storytelling, and the way they do the major players just feels right. Um, so we'll start this out with the beginning part where they kind of just recap us a little bit to tell us what's happened prior. Ultimately, the recap kind of tells us that they're still at the Rimuru was still at the meeting. The meeting was they're about to have dinner and things. They were tasting the food. Um, this food was amazing. Rimuru was like, "How's the meat so tender, juicy, and tender?" And I think I I think it's it's very interesting that they kept with the meeting at the beginning because she would have just told that something later. But ultimately, it gives us an understanding of like these demons are not actually demons; they're actually really interesting people that have like very um, well sophisticated palates and the food. Even Rumu talks about the food, like the food's amazing with the analyzing from his conscience thing, and the guy with the wine talking about some grapes and all this kind of stuff. Really well done. Then we get the opening cinematic and the opening song. The opening song is amazing, very beautiful song. And then Rumu heads back to his town, and everybody's already bowing there, ready for him. And he says, "We're all preparing for this when I come back." And they're like, the head of the goblins says, "Glad you're back, and hope you get some rest and everything, so you can maybe we'll talk about some stuff later." And she was just surprised by all that. Then one of the goblin girls helps with cooking, made some matcha pudding, which looked really cool. And they kind of talk about what's next for them and what they need to do next for the kingdom and all that. But Diablo comes in and kind of says, "I can help you with that. I can take that over for you if you want me to, but ultimately it's up to you, whatever you want to do." And the last thing we'll kind of talk about, they kind of still have the conversation in this little room. They openly decide that everything's going to be done through Diablo, and Diablo's like, "I'll take care of it." Valdora was going to mention something, but Rimuru stops him from doing it, and she says, where he says that if you do that, I'm not gonna let you eat the pudding anymore. So he doesn't say, and he just kind of sits there, kind of out of it. I'm gonna start off with Chris for this. Chris, what do you think about this little first section, the first 7 minutes?
See, this was a nice introduction back into the show. Like, okay, we're fresh after the end of the last season, after Walpurgis, and it's like, oh yeah, we just renamed our organization, and so yeah, and then people leave like they do at any place. Oh, and then food is served. Oh, bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Why does anime food always look so good? Like, bro, and I'm sure Deon can attest to this. Like, anytime I cook, I wanted to try to, I like to believe that I'm cooking the anime food, bro.
Absolutely,
My
absolutely.
whole kitchen gets trashed because I'm trying to do food war style pours and like.
Yes. Bro, be
See,
having fun in the kitchen.
in my case, I wouldn't try that. I'm not gonna go that that deep.
Hey
um,
man, don't knock until you try, it, bro. Yeah.
that's
But
true. That is true. Was there anything else from that first little part that you kind of thought was interesting, Chris?
so it was the fact that I wish they would have had replayed the scene where or kind of given more background on the other Dragon Lords, because there's one that he's like really kind of weird, but like we don't know as much as I would want to know about the other Demon Lords, basically.
Okay, okay. Deon, what do you think about this first 7 minutes of the episode?
Um, I I feel like it's a good start. It's not the best start we could have had, but it's a good start because you're kind of reestablishing the power dynamics of what we're about to see. You see them sitting around the table with all these other demon lords, and sorry, Chris, but I don't want to know more about the demon lords just yet because that means that we have places to go. It gives me more
Mm.
hope that in the future I can see some good stuff because every time we've been introduced to a demon lord, it's been a fun show. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just interesting to see where we go from here now that they are having these types of meetings and stuff.
hmm Yeah, I agree with you both. I agree with both of y'all. I do agree more with Dion. I don't want to know more about the Demon Lord because there's like a couple I want to know about, but I want them down the road. Like the May Demon Lord we met last season. Uh, a, a couple other Demon Lords we've met from the previous season, and it's just kind of like I want to wait to see them more about them because they're gonna have their own episodes and they have their own arcs for a bit as well if they do that if they do it right. So that's gonna be something down the road. I think this opening is also built to make you remember who these characters were. You probably forgot who these characters were, so this just brings you back into that fold as well.
And you do learn about two more, Chris, when you watch the missing episodes.
I had a feeling of that, but I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to
Oh,
just be. Yeah.
no worries.
My bad. I don't know if that was a spoiler or not.
Well, no, because it's in the movie, right? That's what you're getting at.
No, not the
Well,
movie.
yeah. See.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, don't worry.
No,
Like I
but
said,
I guess what I was trying to say is not that I'm trying to get to more information about the Demon Lords, but I want them to have opened up the plot to introduce, to
hmm,
open up the plot to mention that
Watch,
there's going to be
watch,
more about
watch
them.
the other episodes. That's all I can say. Finish the other
Well,
episode.
in that case, yes, that was a spoiler. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
so we see Diablo in this horse-drawn carriage. They're heading to the place where they hurt the king and all that. They have the king and the guy from the Holy Church and the top mage that went to the other dude's body, and he tries to heal him, but it takes a little bit of work. But he does finally heal him. Basically, he heals them, but he also does it because now they're under his control. The only person he hasn't healed is the king. But it's after the guy that tried to save the king, the one that switched bodies with the young kid, kind of had had no reason to fight back because he had the purple suit girl and Rimuru in prison, and they imprisoned him. He kind of just was now, I can't really do anything. So now he bows his allegiance to Diablo and does basically what Diablo says. The guy from the Holy Church does the exact same thing. And this is where we get the interesting line from the king. The king's like, why are they betraying their kingdom? What is the world of betraying? Why would you betray me? What's the lie? Why would you betray me to follow this dude? And then the demon lord Diablo looks at him like, well, let's say this. Remember wiped out your whole nation. I could pretty much wipe you out if I wanted to, and I can wipe both your men out and leave them for nothing if I really wanted to as well. So yeah, they're following me because it's a better plan than not following me, basically. Um, and the king says, "All right, I'll follow you. I'll do whatever you ask. Don't, and you don't have to worry about me." And he's like, "Okay." And Diablo smiles, and they kind of follow along with the plan. And then the guy from the other carriage says, "Everything ready? And are they alive?" And he's like, "Yes, they're alive." Diablo kind of says that and then smiles back at them. We get to this midpoint. This is where we're going to start seeing the conversation. The conversation back and forth for this, basically saying here's what happened with Valdora. Valdora's a lot around, but he's not the actual dragon anymore. But he's resurrected. But ultimately, this is what happened to us. This is why everything happened to us. One of the lords that's in this room doesn't like the answers to all these questions. He's kind of just like staring at him like, I don't believe any of this. But ultimately, get more answers. Then the guy from the Holy Church basically goes, "This is all true. This is what actually happened. Dora did this to our men. All this kind of stuff. Still don't believe, but Rimuru helped us, saved us, all that kind of stuff." And ultimately, what you see in one of the scenes, you see they cut to Diablo, and Diablo's staring out to the like towards the camera, basically telling the guys to keep saying this stuff. So he has told them what to say, and then they still don't believe it. Ultimately, the guy that was not really caring doesn't really believe in anything else. I'm gonna stop right there before we get the second half of the conversation with the guy that's gonna take over the other kingdom. I'm gonna start off with Deon for this. What do you think about the second part of this? So, like about the next 7 or so minutes. What do you think about the second here?
Diablo's a superstar, man. Just
OG.
ruthless in every aspect, but very smart and cunning, and I love it. It shows that there's more to this show underneath what you see. Like there's plot under a plot, and it's always interesting to see how these characters that have such a strong dynamic force on one part of the show tend to deal with each other. Like you have a couple strong figureheads, and now they have to interact with each other. It's always a pleasure to see that interaction. It's fun. It's quite tasty.
Chris, what do you think about this next about 7 minutes or so? What was your takeaway?
So, so the little scene where they're in the office and it's like it's playful, but it still shows that dynamic that Rimuru is the boss. He took a whole Jello away from a dragon, and the dragon started crying. Like, bruh, like come on. And then we jump back to just to see how beast that Diablo is. I mean, bro, these dudes is over here trying to negotiate being under him. And yeah, he's still too fly and be like, I don't care what about me as long as you praise my master. I was like, bro, come on now.
Yep.
This scene was just like, yes, Diablo is ruthless, especially for this next scene coming up. Go ahead, Brandon.
All right.
Right.
So Then after we kind of get this little first part of this conversation in this like throne room, the second part of the conversation with the guy that loves the girl that's in the background that has the fake heart now. He kind of talks about this truly happens. This is all that's been happening. The guy that's of this land, like, I don't believe anything y'all telling me. The guy's like, listen to us. This is all true. And then he still don't believe it. And ultimately, they show a thing of Gobda. They show the fact what's happened to their land and everything. Guy's still not believing it. Ultimately, the black-haired mage guy that's from this land said screw it, and just frees the dude in its place, no questions asked. Like, he told him pretty much stop talking. Like, you are annoying. Um, then they kind of see their king in the box. They're kind of like, what do you want us to do? Like, you're right. Ultimately, um, and they're kind of taken aback. And so Diablo passes everybody to the throne where the box is sitting of their king. I can hear your king right now. Oh, by the way, if I hear your king, he'll come back to he come back to life and everything. So if this potion's from our land, you should go get it. It's very nice. Basically doing a sales pitch while healing the king. I love that. I love how he's a salesman while healing the king after what he did to him. Cool. And the king's just sitting there kind of out of it, doesn't say much. Diablo opens a scroll up. The scroll basically gives them three options. One, you can try to find us again. Two, you can just become I think it's a valiant state, basically. Basically, they serve them. Or three, we wipe you out. They're kind of like, well, why only three options, and why would I do any of those? That don't really make sense. But I'll give you time. I'll give you time to think about it. No rush, King. But once you think about it, that's up to you. It was interesting because the king kind of sits there like, what do I say about this? Like, I can't say anything. This is kind of out of my hands now. So then Diablo goes back to Rimu and tells Rimu what he did. Rimu's like, you did what now? And I love the fact they gave Rimu this. He's drinking tea, I think it's tea, and he does a spit take. Oh, he did. What Diablo did, he's like, you do know they can't pay that kind of money, right? You do know that you said 1 trillion yen. Yeah, it's like 10,000 yen every for 10 years. Like, that's not possible. Well, and he's like, I gave him three options. These are three options, and they know the correct one. The correct one is the Valiant State joining us. But if they don't do that, the other two will be more painful either way. But Remo was like, so if they do the one that they join us, would you lower the price? And I was like, yeah, I will lower the price, but that's if they cooperate. And it kind of tells you that Diablo's doing this for Rimuru, but also he's doing it for himself. Like, I'm gonna make sure we get something out of this. So we're not just gonna do this to have these people be on our land for no point reason. It was so good. Ultimately, the last thing we kind of hear about this is that Rimuru is thinking it over, and he finally agrees to it. But ultimately, in the sense that if it happens, what's gonna happen? The king will get accosted by the rest of his noblemen because they are like, you put us in a situation, all our army's dead. It was your fault this happened. At the same point, which gives Rimuru the ability to put what's his name in power for the kingdom anyway. Diablo's like, I'm glad I could help. I'm gonna keep following you, whatever I need to do, and gives Rimuru the assurance like, we're still doing it for the right reasons. Don't worry about a thing. And he kind of bows and then he takes his leave. On top of that, we see that Rimuru gives Valdora back the pudding, and that's how the episode ends. Chris, I'm gonna start with you on this back half. What do you think about this? This back half was actually really fun.
Bro, Diablo is now the most gangster character in Reincarnated as a slime. Bro, okay, you purposely gave everybody a script to follow. Okay? And then as you are being enthralled by your own script. And then you so gangster that when stuff just start going south, everybody around you start feeling your presence. Like, nah, everybody is scared of what you finna do to these people because they don't sound right. And then when that keeps happening, you cause one of the people to freeze his own people just to shut him up. that was the that was the first gangster thing. The second gangster thing, how the hell you gonna deliver that king in a box and then fix him up? Bro, I put your king in this box, I brought him to you now. What I'm gonna put him right here. Oh yeah, and bro, you can tell he wasn't gonna heal the king until they met those demands. Because
Yeah.
he really was not about to.
Nope.
Therefore, that's right now. Okay, and then when he gave him the options, and then he's explaining why he gave the options to Rimuru, it's like, bro, they only got one. I gave them three, but the illusion was choice. Now, bro, if that ain't the most demonic thing that's known throughout history,
It's American
come on,
politics.
bro.
Absolutely.
So therefore, Diablo is probably the most gangster character in all of reincarnated Islam. The most gangster character.
Deon, what do you think of this back half? I'll give my explanation in a second, but what do you think about that back half?
Um. So yeah, that's American politics. Left wing, right wing, same vulture. Right. So he gives these three. What I like most about when he gives these three is the fact that Rimuru is so, how do you say, I don't want to say trustworthy, but it's like he's so confident in his standing that he loosens the leash on this monster of a person who is very powerful and cunning and sly, and allows him to do these type of things because he knows, this is what I mean, like plot under plot, like he knows bruh ain't gonna cross me. So whatever he doing is gotta be in my benefit. And then throughout the entire show, you see like, all right, is he trying to get these people up under him? Like they worshiping Diablo, they think of Diablo, now Diablo is speaking, da, 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 da. And then it ties it back in when Diablo goes to Rimuru, like, yeah, but I gave him these three options. And Rimuru was smart enough to be like, work through it after he told him what he was doing. And like, oh, okay, well, this is why you told me. And he's like, absolutely, exactly, you get it. So it's like, yeah, the power dynamic there is so
Man.
awesome. Like, like, like you
And
looking at
bro,
Diablo be
that
this monster, and then he still has
bro,
a
like,
boss.
and remember what they said that in that scene, they was like, this demon actually served somebody.
Yeah. Yep. They do that. Yeah. Yep.
Like, who is the monster that controls monsters? Okay, this slime. It's
And
amazing.
and the thing about it is, that's why I like Diablo so much, because his whole thing is serving Rimuru. However that will be, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna serve Rimuru in every way possible.
Yeah,
The
because you
other
know
thing about
Rimuru will tap him out again.
that's correct. Correct.
hmm
But
With the
ultimately,
quickness.
the other flip of that coin, and something you didn't, I think both y'all kind of mentioned, but I will mention it fully. Think about the fact you have a demon lord under your regime, but also you have Valdora under your regime. And that was the other thing in that conversation, the big conversation in the hall. They're like, Valdora attacked us, Remember saved us, and now Valdora is back, and he's still in, he's under our control. And they're like, how would you control the most evil dragon ever? And they're like, how's that happen? Well, it happened. you want the proof? Well, here it is. You know, like it. And I think the line for me about this whole scene, that just the whole back half is just so fun to me. Is like, here's your king in a box on the throne. I can heal him right now. So he throws the potion, covers him up. Oh, by the way, you can buy this potion in our country, in our land, and it's one of the best around. He's like, he's being evil.
Gangster.
He's being evil for Rimuru,
Gangster.
also healing the king, but like making a profit on the back end. It's like, what? Wait,
After
Bro,
they
it's like
just
I
said
went to this
none
country
of
to
our
take it
magic.
over and I still made a profit.
Right. They literally were just like, yeah, nothing we do can fix this. And he's like, I got something that'll fix them, right?
that's like
We sell
that's,
this.
that's like the Home and Garden Network kind of thing of like, oh, you can buy this right now for $9.99 with tax, and we'll have it at your door in 24 hours. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense, but it works. But the other thing
And this is the
about
guy that works. This is the guy that works for a whole delivery company. So yeah.
yeah, pretty much. Like, I think the other thing is too. I love the fact that you had the guy that saw all his army get killed, the black haired guy, and literally goes, you know what? I'm gonna freeze you so you can stop talking because you're gonna mess this up for all of us. And if you mess this up, we're all done for. So I'm just gonna have you stop talking now.
That
I
Like,
don't care.
dude, do you know who's in the room? Do you know?
and
like
that was the other thing. The way they used it. So Diablo's like staring at him, and the black haired guy staring at them like the black guy's like, y'all know who's in this room with us right now? I'm trying to help y'all out, but I can't really say anything, so I'm just gonna keep using my script. And it's just like he wants to say, by the way, this is a demon in our presence. Yeah, y'all just need to do what he says.
it's funny too because they had no military presence. They're making these threats, right? They said we can go to war, you can bow down to us, or you can pay us a bunch of money. They're making these threats with no military presence, no
At
like
all.
show of force, just Diablo
yeah,
and hearsay.
but it's funny at the same time. Y'all said while we're watching the episode, and Chris mentioned it. Rimu's army is so big it can wipe out the rest of that town. And Deon goes, Rimuru can wipe out the rest of that town by himself. It is like, wait, hold on a second. His generals can wipe. And then y'all both go, his generals can wipe out the town the rest by himself.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no real fight from the other country. There's no fight because they know they're gonna
Well, let's
lose.
just be honest. If he just let his dogs run loose, and I'm using dogs loosely.
Yeah, the wolves.
The wolves, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue a show of force when your king shows up in a box.
Box, little box.
He's goo in a box.
And that might be one of the creepiest scenes in anime we've seen so far this year. this year, like that's just creepy enough where you just see
and,
a head sticking out of a box, like staring at it.
and
You
that goes
got
back to
this
what
and
Deon
the
was saying.
statue
Like,
smile from solo leveling.
yes,
Yeah.
like honestly, that scene really showed how dark this show can really go if they wanted to go make it dark.
If they want to, yeah. I think they're in a good place now. And if you had to say it to me now, I think Diablo's the character I'm most interested in where his arc will end up. Out of everybody, Diablo and Valdor are the most interesting arcs to end up like side characters because they have the most interesting things they can do with them. And like Deon mentioned, I think Deon and Chris both mentioned you let his Diablo's leash lessen. So he's not so tied to Rimuru because Rimuru trusts him more. How do you trust a man that's almost making a whole country about to pay you about a trillion yen? Okay. How do you trust a man that's also declaring, you can pick one of these options. One is war. If you really want to go to war, go right ahead. Or you can just be under our control. Yeah.
Subjugate your throne and pay us some money
like,
or die.
all three of those options don't sound great, but 2 is probably the best, and y'all won't lose anything on 2.
Well, if
But
you
over,
really want to be honest, two of the choices are the same thing.
yes,
Yeah.
they are basically.
All
Yeah.
three of the choices are the same thing.
Yeah, like basically you're gonna serve us, or you're paying us. You're still
Or
gonna
die.
serve us up. By
It's
yeah.
serve us by paying us, serve us by serving us, or become us because we just wiped you out.
Why is the rest of you out?
You
I'm
see what we
looking
did
for it.
to your army, and your king is in a box. Like what?
And here's the thing: they don't explain the fact the other 2 guys were in boxes themselves. The other 2 guys were goo
Yes, they were boxes because he had to put them back together. He
together.
was
Yeah.
Because
yes, bro.
the guy even asked him, are the guys alive? And he says, Diablo says, yes, except for the king. It's interesting because like he know they have to be alive to get this through. If they're not alive, this doesn't go through very well. So, all right, they have to be alive because they're alive. Um, I will say before I ask this question, if you're not watching Reincarnated Slime, I think you should be watching it. After going through the seasons with Chris and Deon, even with Deon's help, uh, it is probably one of the best isekais we've seen overall. The only thing that can top it is probably Jobless, and Jobless has a different way of doing the isekai genre. But
I'm
hey,
going to
I can't.
enjoy seeing these animes go head to head.
Yeah. Um, but I'll start with Dion. Dion, what would you give Reincarnated Slime episode 49 as a rating?
Uh, I'll give it a 7.5.
Okay, explain.
Um, After so long of a hiatus, I just kind of want more, and that's just as a fan of knowing what they can do and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just wanted more of our home team to be involved, and granted, Diablo is more than enough of so of force, but I just wanted to see more of our home team. We haven't seen them in a long time.
How I don't
Like
remember.
I would have liked to seen the older the you
The
know
old man,
the goblin no the Goblin Lord, his son Rigard.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Rieger,
pretty good,
I would
yeah,
like
pretty
to,
good.
yeah, I would have liked to see him go there.
yeah. Yeah, we
That'd be
haven't seen
fun.
a lot of our B cast in a while. You know, the Orc King, the Goblin guys. We haven't seen a lot of them in a long time. The old man. So
Hmm.
it'd have been nice to at least see them. You know,
I'm I'm gonna ask this question before I ask Chris his rating. I'll ask both of y'all this question. Do you think this episode should have been 45 minutes? And I'll start with Dion for that.
not necessarily. I think they got their point across. If we're picking up exactly like we're picking up from where we left off, so it all makes sense. Um, would I have liked to see 45 minutes? Of course, I always want to see more, but I feel like it was okay for where we are. Like it's not
Okay.
like we fell off on the cliffhanger and then came back and it was still weak. Like we are where we are, you know.
Okay. Okay. Chris, what would you give episode 49 of Reincarnated Slime for a rating?
I am going to give this new opening season, technically season 5 or season 3, curve 1. I am going to give it a 8.3.
Okay. Explain.
Bro, this was a good episode through and through. And like I said, it kind of gives us an introduction of how gangster this show can be or how dark. So, and coming off from its previous shows, we know that it has some light. I'm not gonna say they're dark, but it has some gray moments. Since they have an actual quote unquote demon and there's some lore around him as being the baddest of the bad, I'm really interested to see how this is gonna go as a show.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Oh, it's like I asked you on Chris. What do you think this episode should have been longer? So around the 45-minute mark.
Now, my answer is pretty much the same as Dion's now, because like I would like to see some, like I said earlier, I would like to see more details and certain other things. And then again, Deon even said that more of our other cast, our B cast, like Gabi Maru, Shion, all of them. But at the same time, the time that it's at is the pace of the show. The show the by this episode, I can tell that they are keeping the same pace. The
Yes,
pace has not changed.
yes, yes, they have. Um, hmm. This is gonna be interesting for me. I, this is be okay. I have to give this like a 8.79. 8.7 to 9, so I'll say 8.7. Because this builds off the Diablo's journal a little bit in the sense that we got an episode with Diablo just being one of the focal points of this episode. Also, the fact, yeah, I do agree, we don't see a lot of B cast. I would love to see more of the B cast, but if you're going to keep the pacing where we're going to get maybe one or two characters in each episode being the focus, we'll eventually get to see the B cast and eventually get to see a lot of the other casting across the board. Um, but also like the characterization, the way they do certain scenes, the minute details they do, and something about we talked about what I think we kind of talked about this ourselves off stream podcast, but we talked about it before. Just like if you're watching it sub or dubbed, ultimately if you're watching subbed, you probably would notice that Diablo's doing his little facial expressions to those two guys to kind of give them keep doing it, keep saying this, keep saying that, and also even the black haired guy is doing it to other people in the room as well. So those like small details you don't really focus on because you're reading the subtitles. Those details give you the context of what's going on, and I think that's going to be the other thing. If they keep us giving those like small details like that, I'm down. I'm ultimately down. I think it's going to be amazing how they're going to keep that going. Um, I think the other big thing about this show that you can tell they do a very good job is keeping the world building. They haven't left us with anything that's not already world built. They left us where we left off in the previous season, in the sense that they were still at the big meeting. They just had dinner, all this stuff, and then we cut back to him coming back to the town. So we basically left off right after the battle with the other demon lord, and it feels like they never left a beat. So I ultimately hope they keep that pacing of if you're gonna give us small cliffhangers and things, you just kind of pick them up where they left off. If you do leave us off or go forward in time, you ultimately go back and recap us what we missed, which I think they will do. I 24 episodes of this is gonna be really interesting. 24 episodes of this is gonna be interesting against uh, Jobless, against other things. I think they're gonna have some competition, but I don't think I will say this right now. I don't think this will happen when we ever get the first chart from Anime Corner, which I think is going to be next week. So it'll be out this coming Friday. It'll be done. It'll be out this coming Friday. I think Reincarnate will be on the number one and number two. I think they are going to get that spot because I think it's going to be one of those ones that people are going to be clamoring for. Um, but also I think it's going to be that in a fight between Jobless and even maybe um, think you also have a fight with the other one I'm thinking of. Loser Ranger. I think it'll be the other one I think you might have to fight with, but those are my top like three that are gonna be really interesting this season. But I think this was a good episode. I think this will pick up where we left off. I wonder if they're gonna try to keep the thing of like the diaries too, but the diary before this didn't really have anything big in it. It just recapped a lot of things. But the previous diaries and previous seasons have gave us information too. So we'll see the diary thing will still be a thing as they go through the season. But I will ask you this, gentlemen: do you think watching this now and understanding what we've seen previous seasons, what we talked about at the beginning of the show tonight, storytelling and not a lot of fights and things. This episode had no fights. This episode really had not a lot of action in it at all. Do you think that's why? Do you think that's why this is something that something like this is hard to watch for some people because it's just a bunch of talking and storytelling? And Dean, I'll start off with you for that.
Again, it goes into what you're here for. If you're a fan of just action, this is gonna be hard to swallow. But like me
This show is
personally,
not for you. I'm sorry.
yeah. For me personally, I love character development, no matter if it's a romance or whatever. I love seeing characters be edgy, cunning, stuff like that. So being able to watch Diablo move in this was really, really engaging for me. So it just whatever your taste is, if this isn't an action packed anime. Yes, there's cool action. Yes, there's great character design. Yes, they can all kick butt. But let's be honest, we've got what 60, almost like 80 episodes of this anime,
Mm.
and not even half of them are fight scenes. Like,
Nope. Nope. Not even, yeah, you're right. Not even half. I mean, I guess Chris, you would kind of agree with Dion on that question, and just kind of seeing this now. It's like, yeah, if you don't like it, don't watch it. But ultimately, this is storytelling.
Because I was going to say it in a much harsher way, but yeah. If our fans don't notice, me and Deon going back and forth on being nice or being straight up ruthless.
And I stick right in the middle because I'm usually the one that's gonna balance that out. Because I'm like, I'm
Because
not really either.
in the back of my head, I was thinking this is not your ADHD show.
yeah.
No, oh no, this is not. This is more of like you have to follow what they're saying.
Pay attention.
Yeah, you do have to pay attention. You have to pay attention in Jobless, which is not the same way. You have to pay attention in Jobless. You have to pay attention in the train to the end of the world. You have to pay attention to like some of the stuff this season. You have to pay attention to because they've done a good job with that. Even the one we just watched, Grandma and Grandpa turned young again. That's one you have to pay attention into, even though it's a comedy. That's the point.
You know
Like, they're
what
gonna
though? I think people get confused
in what
with
sense?
their genres. I think they get
Oh,
confused with their genres. Like this is an adventure isekai, not an action isekai. Most isekais are adventure genres. They're not action. You get some actions. Like if you want action, go watch like Fist of the North Star or something. I know that's showing my age, but like you want action, go watch something
Baki.
that was
yeah,
it God of High School
yeah.
or something, like One
Well,
Punch Man. And
it's interesting you bring up the fact that the genres, and it's funny. So this is considered, and I just looked at because I'm still on the Control app, but it's funny in the details little part it says action, adventure, fantasy, isekai, slice of life. And
yeah,
that's 6, and that's 5 technically. Basically, action adventure, fantasy because the fantasy setting, isekai because we're coming from another world, and slice of life because you're kind of getting lifestyle stuff like the cooking, the dining stuff. So ultimately, the action is the lesser of the 3 of less of the 5. The other 4 are more combined to each other.
yeah. Anything action adventure, I'm gonna just be honest with you. This is my take on it. Anything action adventure means that it's an adventure story with action in it.
With action in it, yeah.
It's like having to rate something R because they curse in America.
Like
Like, good.
Zelda's an action adventure game, but
Yeah,
when you play Legend of Zelda games, they're more known for the adventure part of it, not the action.
right.
Even though the action's there, you do battles, you do fight things, but the adventure to get to the plot points are that's the reason you play. The same way,
Yeah, it's
like
like Mario Brothers. You can play Mario Brothers, and I'm showing. Oh my God, I'm showing my age on that one. But you can be playing Super Mario Brothers and never like hurt anything, and always make it to the
correct,
end.
correct.
Or you
Bro,
can play Mario Brothers and literally smash everything because you can.
or if you really want to take it to, or if you want to just Well, crap, I'm showing my age with Crash Bandicoot and
Yep.
Yeah.
Spyro. Shoot.
I think it's gonna be a long conversation. I might do this for another podcast one day, but I think we need to talk about genres in anime just for a longer podcast because I think the one that always gets the most trouble from people is action adventure because action adventures are always lumped in together, and I don't think they should be. Even for games, action adventures lumped in together, but it always kind of feels like action adventure should be separated because most games have little to no action because like Tomb Raider is one of the best examples of that. Nathan Drake, Uncharted, action adventure games,
Uncharted.
but
Yeah.
they're mainly more for adventuring and finding collectibles and getting to a story.
Yeah.
The action's just there. You can do a passive, not a full passive run, but you could be a pacifist for most of it and not fight anybody.
I mean, all the way back to like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's an adventure movie.
Correct.
You know, it's not an action movie. You're not getting like scenes where car crashes and explosions. It's just like, movies. You get a movie like Rambo or something, which is an action movie. 9 out of the 10 scenes is car chases, explosions, gun scenes. That's action.
Mm-hmm.
Now you make it action adventure and you get something that has 6 out of the 10 scenes passive because it's action adventure. You have to put that action in there because yeah, they're gonna fight.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
Oh yeah.
going to have some type of encounter with a bad guy. They're going to have that beef. But most of the story is adventure, you know?
Oh yeah. Very much so. Very much so. That was episode 51 of the Anime Dojo. We'll be back next week with episode 52 of the Anime Dojo. We'll have a couple other story things. Like I said, I think we'll have the first chart for the spring season up by Friday because that's usually because they're trying to wait till they get to the middle of the month to get through everything because there's a lot of stuff coming out this year. But then we'll go through episode 50 of um, Reincarnated Slime. Ladies and gentlemen, keep going this ride with us because you kind of see we're all different perspectives. Chris and Deon are both older anime fans. I'm still a new one, but yet the one thing we can all agree on, ultimately, storytelling is going to be king, and that's not going to change much unless something just tries to change in the next couple of years. Yes, you get things like My Hero Academia, you get things like Demon Slayer, but without there's still story in those things. This has a very good story. If you want to just miss the story and just kind of see what else is there, fine. But ultimately, that's not going to be the case when they don't give you the action you probably want. But like I said, this will go up tomorrow, or this will go up on Thursday on YouTube. We'll process on the Spotify as of tonight or tomorrow morning. But I do thank you for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and hope you for next time. See ya.
Peace.
Use.